Have you ever woken up on a quiet morning, caught your reflection in the mirror, and suddenly paused at a new wrinkle near your eyes, or a strand of silver hair you hadn't noticed before? There's a slight sting in the heart, isn't there? A faint nostalgia for the vibrant days of youth that seem to be slipping through our fingers. We spend so much of our lives trying to freeze time, clutching onto the familiar, only to find ourselves exhausted from fighting an uphill battle against the very laws of the universe. But my dear friend, what if I told you that this constant change, this very flow, is exactly what creates the most magnificent beauty in our lives? Welcome back to my channel, Buddha Essence Wisdom. I am your companion on this journey toward inner stillness. If you find that these reflections bring a sense of peace to your soul, please subscribe to my channel. Your support gives me the inspiration to continue creating these videos for our community. Today, I want to talk to you about a core Buddhist insight called anicca, or impermanence. I want you to imagine this. You are standing by a river. You can never step into the same water twice. The current is always moving. The autumn leaves are always falling, and even the cells in your body are changing with every single breath. Life is not a still photograph. It is a continuous living flow. I want you to imagine a sunset over the California coast, or behind a vast mountain range. Why do we hold our breath in awe as the sun dips below the horizon? It's because we know those brilliant streaks of gold and purple will vanish in just a matter of minutes. If that sunset lasted forever, if the sky stayed crimson 24 hours a day, would you still find it precious? Of course not. The beauty of the sunset lives within its ending. I once spoke with a friend in her 70s named Mary. She sat with me, tears in her eyes, as she watched the familiar faces in her neighborhood slowly fade away over the years. She whispered, "Master, everything is leaving me." I took her trembling hand and said, "Mary, it's not that things are leaving you. It's that everything is moving exactly as it was meant to. Precisely because we know people cannot stay forever, our encounter today becomes sacred." From a professional perspective, I've observed that our suffering rarely comes from change itself, but from our resistance to it. Psychological science calls this the clinging to the comfort zone. But when we embrace impermanence, we no longer see silver hair as a sign of decay. We see it as a crown of experience and wisdom. The presence of those we love right here in this very breath becomes more vivid and real, because we have stopped demanding that they stay forever. Have you ever felt that shift, that sudden peace when you stop wrestling with time? When we learn to cherish presence instead of mourning absence, we finally touch true happiness. Next, I want to talk to you about the ultimate act of letting go: forgiveness. In the tradition of the Buddha, we often say that holding on to anger is like grasping a hot coal with the intent of throwing it at someone else. You are the only one who gets burned. But as we grow older, there's a second, even more painful coal we hold on to: the refusal to forgive ourselves. I want you to imagine this for a moment. Imagine a traveler climbing a steep mountain. The sun is beginning to set and the air is growing thin. The traveler is exhausted, but instead of discarding the heavy rocks in his pack, he keeps picking up more. He picks up a rock for the friend who betrayed him 20 years ago. He picks up a heavy stone for the words he wished he hadn't said to his spouse. He adds a jagged rock for the career choice he regrets. He is gasping for air. His knees are trembling, yet he refuses to let go. He believes that by carrying these rocks, he is somehow being responsible or just. But let me ask you, does carrying that weight change the past? Does it make the mountain any lower? No. It only makes the sunset, the beautiful golden years of your life, impossible to enjoy. Have you ever felt like that traveler, carrying a burden so old that you've almost forgotten why you started carrying it in the first place, yet you're too afraid to put it down? I want to share a story with you about a man I worked with here in the States named Harold. Harold was 68, a retired engineer and a man of great intellect. But Harold was miserable. He hadn't spoken to his brother in 15 years over a dispute about their father's will. Every time Harold thought of his brother, his blood pressure would rise, his chest would tighten, and his day would be ruined. One afternoon, we sat together in the garden and I asked him, "Harold, if your brother were to pass away tomorrow, would that anger bring you peace?" He stayed silent for a long time. Then I asked, "And if you were to pass away tomorrow, do you want your last conscious thought on this beautiful earth to be about a legal document from 2010? Harold realized a profound truth that day. Forgiveness is not about saying the other person was right. It is not about excusing their behavior or even reconciling with them. Forgiveness is a selfish act in the best way possible. It is the act of deciding that your peace of mind is more important than your desire for justice or revenge. It is the moment you realize that the person you are truly punishing by staying angry is the person you see in the mirror every morning. Modern psychology tells us that chronic resentment keeps the body in a state of fight or flight. It floods your system with cortisol and adrenaline. For those of us over 50, this is a physical poison. It weakens the heart and clouds the mind. Scientific studies have shown that those who practice forgiveness have lower blood pressure, better sleep, and a much stronger immune system. The Buddha didn't have a laboratory, but he understood this perfectly. 600 years ago, he knew that a mind filled with hate is a mind in a state of dukkha, restless, burning suffering. But there is a deeper layer to this, isn't there? The hardest person to forgive is often the one staring back at us in the mirror. We look at our past mistakes, the parenting choices we regret, the health we didn't take care of, the opportunities we let slip away, and we become our own harshest judges. We replay these mental movies of our failures, hoping that if we suffer enough, we can somehow pay a debt to the past. But I want you to listen closely. You are not the same person you were 20, 30, or 40 years ago. The person who made those mistakes was doing the best they could with the level of awareness they had at the time. To hold your current self hostage for the actions of a younger, less experienced version of you is a profound injustice. In our practice, we use a beautiful meditation called metta, or loving kindness. It starts with ourselves. We say, "May I be at peace. May my heart be open. May I forgive myself for what I did not know." Think about it this way. If your best friend came to you with the same regrets you have, would you yell at them? Would you tell them they are a failure? No. You would take their hand, offer them a cup of tea, and tell them it's okay to let it go. Why then are you so cruel to yourself? Forgiveness is the final chain. When we are young, we are shackled by our ambitions. In middle age, we are shackled by our responsibilities. But in our elder years, we are often shackled by our memories. To forgive is to take the key and finally turn the lock. It is like clearing out an old, dusty attic. You find boxes of pain that have been sitting there for decades, taking up space, attracting dust. You look at them, you acknowledge them, and then you walk them to the curb. You don't need them anymore. Look at how much space is now in your heart. Look at how much light can now enter. So as we sit here together, I want you to take a deep breath. Think of one person, just one, whom you've been resenting. Or think of one mistake you've been beating yourself up over. Feel the weight of it in your chest. Now as you exhale, I want you to say to yourself, "I release this. It no longer serves my peace." You don't have to do it all at once. Forgiveness is a journey, not a destination. But every time you choose to put down a stone, you become lighter. You become more present. You become free to enjoy the sunset without the weight of the mountain on your back. Thank you for spending this time with me. You can see the video I made to find guided meditations on this very topic. Please take care of your heart. It has carried you this far. It deserves to be light. Have you ever sat in a perfectly quiet room, yet felt as though a violent war was raging inside your head? You are sitting here right now in the present day, yet your mind is wandering back to the 1990s to regret a wrong decision, or racing toward a future to worry about your fading health. After many years of listening to hearts in pain here in the United States, I have realized a profound truth. Most of our suffering does not come from what is actually happening in this moment. It comes from the mental movies and the stories we tell ourselves inside our heads. Today, I want to invite you to explore a precious gift called mindfulness. If you find that these reflections bring a sense of peace to your soul, please subscribe to my channel so we can continue this journey together in future videos. I want you to imagine this. Our mind is like the vast sky, and our negative thoughts or emotions are like dark clouds passing through. Our mistake is that we often try to chase those clouds away, or worse, we grab onto them, analyze them, and turn them into a massive storm. Have you ever felt this way? Perhaps a friend said something thoughtless years ago, yet you spent all night replaying it, fueling your resentment while that person has likely forgotten the conversation entirely. You are suffering from a story, not a reality. In the field of neuroscience, there is a fascinating concept I often share with my students called the 90-second rule. Science has proven that when an emotion like anger, anxiety, or sadness arises, its chemical lifespan in our body lasts exactly 90 seconds. From the moment the blood vessels constrict to the moment the stress hormones dissipate, it only takes a minute and a half. So why can we stay angry at someone for 10 years? Why can we mourn a mistake for a lifetime? The answer is simple, because we continuously feed the fire with negative thoughts. Every time you ask, why did they treat me that way? Or what if I had done it differently? You are throwing a fresh log onto a dying flame. If you stop feeding the fire, that emotion will naturally burn itself out. This is the biological law of life. I once worked with a man named David, a 65-year-old living in New York. He lived in a state of constant high tension, worried about his finances after retirement. David told me, "Master, I cannot stop the worrying." I asked him to try a small exercise every time the anxiety hits. Stop, place your hand on your belly, and simply count 5 breaths. Just 5. David was astonished. He realized that when he was truly present with his breath, the terrifying future he had imagined vanished. In the present, there was only the sound of birds outside the window, the warmth of the sun, and the rise and fall of his chest. That is mindfulness. It isn't a complex philosophy. It is simply returning home to the place where reality is happening, not where fear is hiding. For those of us between the ages of 50 and 70, we no longer have time to waste on the ghosts of the past. Every minute you spend ruminating is a minute you miss the beauty of the life that is actually here. Mindfulness teaches us to be a clear observer. When a sad thought arises, you simply acknowledge it. A sad thought is passing by, much like you would stand on a sidewalk and watch a car drive past. You don't have to jump into the car and let it drive you miles away into misery. I invite you to do this right now. Take a deep breath and know that you are breathing in. Breathe out and know that you are breathing out. In the very moment you are conscious of that breath, you are free. You have broken the chains of the stories you tell yourself. Mindfulness is a skill, and like any skill, it requires practice. But believe me, the reward is priceless. It is a peace that no amount of wealth can buy. It is the ability to smile at the fluctuations of life because you know that deep down, you are the silent sky, and all emotions are just passing clouds. In our journey through life, especially as we cross the threshold of our 50s and 60s, we all carry scars. Some are visible on our skin, but many more are hidden deep within our hearts. There is a fundamental truth in Buddhist wisdom that can be hard to hear at first, but it is the key to your freedom. Pain is inevitable, but suffering is optional. If you find this perspective helpful, please subscribe to my channel to support me in bringing more of these teachings to life. Your presence here is a gift, and I am honored to share this path with you. I want you to imagine this. You are walking through a beautiful forest, and suddenly you are struck by an arrow. That is the first arrow. It represents the unavoidable pains of life. The loss of a loved one, a sudden illness, or a disappointment in a relationship. These things hurt. They cause raw, stinging pain. But then something strange happens. We take a second arrow and we shoot it into ourselves in the exact same spot where the first one hit. That second arrow is our suffering. It is the story we tell ourselves about the pain. It is the why me, the it shouldn't be this way, and the I will never be happy again. The first arrow was an event. The second arrow is our choice to cling to that event. Have you ever felt like you were stuck in a cycle of pain? Not because of what happened today, but because you keep touching an old wound from 10 years ago. You might ask, why would I choose to cling to pain? Why would I keep touching the wound? As a specialist who has worked with many elders, I've seen that we often cling to our pain because it feels familiar. In a strange way, our grievances and our sorrows become a part of our identity. We fear that if we let go of the pain, we might lose our connection to the past, or we might lose our sense of who we are. We think that by holding on to the hurt, we are protecting ourselves from being hurt again. But the truth is, the tighter you grasp the sand, the faster it slips through your fingers. I remember a woman named Sarah who came to see me. She had been carrying the bitterness of a divorce for nearly 30 years. She spoke about it as if it had happened yesterday. She told me, "If I stop being angry, it's like saying what he did was okay." I looked at her and said, "Sarah, your anger hasn't changed his life in 30 years, but it has aged your heart and stolen your joy every single day. You are staying in a prison where the door is already unlocked." Modern psychology calls this clinging to a victim identity. Scientifically, our brains are wired to prioritize negative experiences as a survival mechanism. Our ancestors needed to remember where the tiger was to stay safe. But in our modern world, we use that same mechanism to remember every insult, every failure, and every heartbreak. We mistake remembering pain for staying safe, but I want you to imagine this instead. Imagine holding a heavy, jagged rock in your hand. You've held it so long that your muscles have cramped and the rock has become part of your grip. You think that if you drop it, you will be vulnerable. But look at your hand. It is bleeding, it is tired, and it cannot hold anything new or beautiful because it is occupied by that rock. True safety doesn't come from clutching your wounds. It comes from the strength of letting them heal. When we touch a wound over and over, we prevent the scab from forming. We keep the pain fresh. To let go is not to say that the past didn't happen. It is to say, I will no longer allow the past to dictate my present. Ask yourself today, what is the second arrow I am shooting into my own heart? Is it regret? Is it a grudge? Is it a role I no longer play? The Buddha taught that the cause of this suffering is upadana, clinging or attachment. We attach to our pain because we are afraid of the unknown space that comes after the pain is gone. But I promise you, in that space lies your peace. When you stop demanding that life be different than it was, the weight begins to lift. You realize that you don't need the pain to be you. You are the vast, resilient spirit that survives the pain. There is a quiet, profound moment that eventually comes to all of us. You look around your home, you look at the calendars of your years, and you realize how much you have gathered. Not just the furniture or the old photographs, but the mental clutter, the identities, the ambitions, and the must-haves that once felt so vital. You feel a heaviness in your soul, and a small, wise voice inside whispers, "Enough." You realize that for decades you've been trying to find happiness by adding more, but now you sense that peace will only come by having less. I want you to imagine your heart as a beautiful private room. Over the last 50 or 60 years, you've filled it with everything: achievements, possessions, social roles, and even old resentments. Some of these are like treasures, but many are like old, heavy boxes that you haven't opened in years, yet you refuse to throw away. Eventually, the room becomes so crowded that there is no space left for you to sit down and simply breathe. Have you ever felt that way? Like your life is so full that you've lost the space to be free? In Buddhist teaching, we call this renunciation. But I want to clarify something right away. Renunciation is not about deprivation. It is not about living a cold, empty life. In fact, True renunciation is an act of supreme self-love. It is the art of clearing away what no longer nourishes your spirit, so that what truly matters can finally rise to the surface. It is the shift from more is better to less is peace. I want to share a story about a man named Frank, a successful lawyer who retired at 65. Frank spent his whole life collecting expensive cars, a massive library of books he never read, and a reputation for being the strongest man in the room. When he retired, he moved into a smaller home, but he tried to bring every single piece of his old life with him. He was stressed, irritable, and couldn't relax. I asked him, "Frank, are you living in your house, or is your house living in you?" He realized that he wasn't clinging to the objects, he was clinging to the identity of the man who owned those objects. He was afraid that without his stuff and his titles, he would be nothing. I told him, the sky doesn't need to hold onto the clouds to be the sky. You don't need to hold onto the past to be whole. We began a process of intentional letting go, not just of physical items, but of the need to be seen as important. As Frank cleared his attic, he felt his chest expand. He discovered that a simple morning walk brought him more joy than his luxury car ever did. Science shows us that a cluttered environment leads to a cluttered mind. High levels of physical clutter are linked to increased cortisol levels, the stress hormone, especially as we age. But mental clutter is even more dangerous. When we renounce the need to always be right, the need to impress others, or the need to stay busy to feel valued, our nervous system finally begins to heal. I want you to imagine this. Imagine you are holding a suitcase in each hand. They are packed with lead. You are tired, your shoulders ache, but you are terrified that if you put them down, you will be empty-handed. But look at what happens when you finally set them on the ground. Your hands are now free to hold the hand of a grandchild. They are free to garden, to paint, or simply to rest open in your lap. You aren't less because you dropped the bags. You are finally available to life. Ask yourself today, what am I carrying that no longer serves my peace? Is it a house that is too big for my needs? Is it an old image of myself that I've outgrown? Is it the desire for recognition from people who don't even know the real me? Renunciation is like pruning a tree. You cut away the dead branches not to hurt the tree, but so that the sunlight can reach the heart and new fruit can grow. For those of us in the autumn of our lives, this is our sacred work. We are clearing the stage for the most beautiful act of all, a life lived in simplicity, presence, and genuine ease. Thank you for spending these moments with me. In our younger years, we were often told that success is the result of willpower. We were taught that if we work hard enough, plan carefully enough, and exercise enough discipline, we can shape our destiny. And so we spent decades building our lives like magnificent sandcastles on the shore. We carefully sculpted the towers of our careers, the walls of our financial security, and the delicate decorations of our family's future. But then as the tide of time begins to come in, we find ourselves standing frantically on the beach trying to block the waves with our bare hands. We feel a rising panic because the ocean doesn't seem to care about our plans. I want you to imagine this. You are in the middle of a vast, powerful river. The current is moving steadily toward the sea. Most of us spend our entire lives exhausted because we are trying to swim upstream. We believe that if we just stroke harder, if we just fight the current long enough, we can reach some imaginary point of perfect safety. But the river is life itself, and the current is the natural flow of change. Have you ever felt that profound exhaustion, that bone-deep weariness that comes from trying to make everyone in your life behave a certain way, or trying to force your body to stay exactly as it was 20 years ago? The hard truth I've learned in my 60 years is this: control is an illusion. It is a story the ego tells us to keep us from feeling vulnerable. We think that by worrying we are preparing. We think that by micromanaging our adult children or our health, we are fixing. But in reality, we are just building higher walls in a fortress that was never meant to be permanent. I remember a man named Richard, a retired CEO I met in Chicago. He was a brilliant man, but he was drowning in stress. He tried to manage his retirement with the same intensity he used to manage a corporation. He had a spreadsheet for everything: his diet, his grandchildren's grades, even the exact time the gardener should arrive. When the gardener was 10 minutes late, Richard's entire day was ruined. I told him, "Richard, you are trying to command the tides. You are building a castle on the sand and getting angry at the moon for moving the water." I asked him to try something different. Instead of trying to be the master of the river, I said, "Try to be the water itself." There is a beautiful term in the East Wu Wei, or effortless action. It doesn't mean doing nothing. It means acting in harmony with what is, rather than fighting against what isn't. When we stop demanding that life follow our script, something miraculous happens. We begin to see the hidden harmony in the change. We notice that when one door closes, the air in the room shifts, revealing a window we never noticed before. Science tells us that the need for control is deeply linked to the amygdala, the part of the brain that handles fear. When we feel out of control, our brain treats it as a life-threatening emergency. But for those of us over 50, we have the advantage of wisdom. We have lived long enough to know that some of the worst things that happened to us, the jobs we lost, the plans that failed, actually led us to the most important chapters of our lives. I want you to imagine this instead. Imagine you are lying on your back in a calm lake. If you thrash around and try to control your position, you will sink. But if you relax, if you spread your arms and let the water support you, you float. You can see the clouds, you can hear the birds. You are safe not because you are in control, but because you have stopped fighting. Ask yourself today, where am I still trying to boing dong swim upstream? Is it in a relationship where I'm trying to change someone? Is it in my struggle against the natural aging process? What would happen if just for today I decided to float? When you let go of the illusion of control, you don't lose your power. You discover a different kind of power, the power of resilience. You become like a willow tree that bends with the wind rather than an oak that cracks because it refuses to move. Thank you for joining me in this reflection. There is a famous teaching in Buddhist wisdom that I often share with those who feel burdened by the past. It says that holding on to anger and resentment is like grasping a hot coal with the intense desire to throw it at someone else. We think that by clutching this heat, we are staying strong or preparing for justice. But if you look down at your hand, you will see that the only skin being burned, the only heart being scorched, is your own. The other person may be miles away, living their life completely unaware of the fire you are carrying for them. I want you to imagine this. You are sitting in a beautiful garden, but instead of enjoying the fragrance of the flowers, you are focused on a bottle of poison in front of you. You drink a little bit of it every day, hoping that somehow magically your enemy will be the one who suffers. It sounds absurd when we say it out loud, doesn't it? And yet this is exactly what we do when we refuse to practice acceptance. We poison our own golden years with the toxins of what should have been or how they wronged me. Now I want to be very clear about something. Acceptance is not the same as surrender. It is not being weak, and it is not saying that what happened was right or fair. In fact, acceptance is the most courageous act of a wise mind. It is the ability to look at reality exactly as it is without the fog of your anger, so that you can make the most intelligent response. I remember working with a gentleman named Arthur, a 72-year-old veteran. He was consumed by bitterness toward a former business partner who had cheated him decades ago. Arthur told me, if I accept this, it means he won. I can't let him win. I looked at him and said, Arthur, he won 30 years ago in a financial deal. But by staying angry, you are letting him win today inside your heart every single hour. Acceptance isn't for him. Acceptance is the key to your own prison cell. When you stop fighting the reality of the past, you stop feeding the fire. Think of your anger as a flame. To stay alive, a fire needs oxygen and wood. In our minds, the wood is the constant replay of the injury, the "how could they" and the "it's not fair." Every time you tell that story, you are throwing another log onto the fire, but the moment you practice acceptance, you stop adding fuel. The fire might still be hot for a while, but eventually the embers will cool. Your mind will become matmi, cool and clear once again. Science shows us that chronic anger triggers the release of inflammatory chemicals in our bodies, which is particularly taxing on our hearts as we age. But when we transition into a state of acceptance, our parasympathetic nervous system, the part of us responsible for rest and digest, finally takes over. We literally begin to heal from the inside out. I want you to imagine this instead. Imagine you are an experienced sailor. A storm hits. If you stand on the deck and scream at the clouds demanding that they stop raining, you are not being strong, you are being foolish. But if you accept that the storm is here, you can lower the sails, secure the ropes, and guide your ship to safety. Acceptance gives you back your power. It turns you from a victim of the weather into a master of the ship. Have you ever felt that sudden cool breeze of relief when you finally said, "It happened, it's over, and I'm moving on"? That is the power of dropping the hot coal. Ask yourself today, what is the poison I have been drinking? Who am I still trying to burn with my anger only to find my own hands scarred? What would happen if I just let the fire go out? Acceptance is the bridge between the pain of the past and the peace of the present. It allows you to see the world not through the red lens of rage, but through the clear lens of wisdom. You deserve to live a life that is cool, spacious, and free. Thank you for walking this path with me. There is a quiet misconception in our modern world that to practice non-attachment means to stop caring, to become cold, or to distance ourselves from the people we love. But as a teacher who has walked this path for many years, I want to tell you that true detachment is exactly the opposite. It is not a withdrawal from love, it is the purification of it. It is not coldness, it is a warm, spacious freedom. Non-attachment doesn't make us love less, it allows us to love without the paralyzing grip of fear. Visual. A person standing with open arms toward the horizon looking peaceful. I want you to imagine this. You are holding a beautiful, rare flower in your hands. If you are attached in the way the ego understands it, you might want to clench your fist around that flower to make sure no one takes it or to protect it from the wind. But what happens in your attempt to keep the flower? You crush it. You destroy the very thing you cherish. Non-attachment is the wisdom to keep your hands open. It is the ability to admire the flower, to smell its fragrance, and to cherish its presence while knowing that its nature is to bloom and eventually to fade. Have you ever felt that tension in your relationships? That subtle urge to control your children, your spouse, or your friends, because you're so afraid of losing them? We think our clinging is a sign of deep love, but often it is just our own fear wearing a mask. When we say, "I need you to be this way so I can be happy," we are not loving the other person. We are loving the security they provide us. I remember a woman named Eleanor who was in her late 60s. She was devastated because her adult son had moved to another country for work. She felt abandoned and bitter. I asked her, "Eleanor, do you love your son, or do you love the role of being a mother who is needed?" She sat in silence for a long time. I told her, to love him without attachment means to be the sunlight that warms him no matter where he flies. If you tie a string to him to keep him close, you are both prisoners. If you cut the string and let him go, you are both free to love each other as two complete souls. In Buddhism, this kind of love is called metta, loving kindness, that asks for nothing in return. It is like the sun that shines on the trees, the flowers, and the rocks alike. The sun doesn't check to see if the flower deserves the light or if it will stay forever. It simply gives. When you practice non-attachment, you become that sunlight. You love your partner more deeply because you realize they are a guest in your life, not a possession. You cherish every conversation because you know it is a fleeting gift, not a permanent right. Modern psychology tells us that anxious attachment creates immense stress on our nervous systems. We are constantly on edge, waiting for the other shoe to drop. But when we train ourselves to love with open hands, our hearts finally relax. We stop being owners of life and start being witnesses to it. This is the ultimate freedom for those of us in the sunset of our lives. We have lived long enough to know that nothing truly belongs to us. Not even this body, not even our own breath. I want you to imagine this instead. Imagine you are a host at a beautiful dinner party. People come, they share your food, they laugh, and then they leave. You don't chase them down the street demanding they stay. You are grateful they came, and you are peaceful when they depart. That is the art of non-attachment. It is being a gracious host to every moment, every person, and every emotion that enters your heart. Ask yourself today, am I holding my loved ones with a clenched fist or an open palm? Am I loving them for who they are or for the comfort they give me? What would happen if I chose to love them so much that I gave them the freedom to change, to grow, and even to go? To love deeply is to open the hand, not clench the fist. When you let go of the need to possess, you discover that you don't lose the world, you finally gain the peace to enjoy it. Thank you for joining me on this journey of the heart. You can see the video I made to help you practice metta meditation and cultivate a heart that loves without holding back. Remember, the more you release, the more your heart expands to hold everything with grace. If today's reflection resonates with you, you're welcome to support the channel by liking, sharing, or subscribing. Each small action you take is a source of energy that helps me continue creating mindful content for the Buddha Essence Wisdom community.